your why, you have the goal, you've accomplished a ton of goals before, and you know you're motivated, but somehow nothing seems to move forward. Can you relate to this? My name is Elyssa Smith. I'm a trauma informed executive coach. And in today's episode of the Unlock Your Blocks podcast, we are going to explore how to tune into your body's signals and align safety with action so that you can move forward effectively. One reason you might be experiencing this sort of halt situation when you're trying to move forward is because you had early experiences that taught you that pursuing something big or something exciting, you meant that you were risking too much. So if you risked too much or you accomplished too much, maybe you drew criticism from people, maybe you drew some jealousy from people, maybe your system interpreted that as danger. Maybe you've had some evidence in the past where you getting, the way my grandma would call it, is too big for your britches because you're out there trying, kind of like that who does she think she is scenario. If you're doing that, and maybe you're like me and you're from a small town where everybody knows everything about everyone, it can make it feel too unsafe for that inner child in you and the actual child that you were to go for her dreams. So it can feel very, very limiting. Also, you may have experienced that suppressing your desires or ambition was a good thing to do to maintain safety or stability or approval from other people in your childhood. So too much success, I'm using air quotes around that. I do a lot of air quotes because it's there's so much from society that's put on us. But for this example, too much success may historically have threatened relationships or love or acceptance. You may have figured out at a young age that risk and too much success meant that you were vulnerable and you stood out. When in a lot of situations, mine included, it was actually really dangerous, emotionally dangerous, and sometimes physically dangerous to stand out. So you may have the best reason in the world to move forward with your big dream, and you just can't seem to move the needle toward it because there is something internally stopping you. So if you tend to set big goals, but then not complete them, here are some things that you might be noticing as an adult. You might notice that your energy vanishes as soon as you get clarity on your next big goal. You start on it, and then all of a sudden you can't execute it. You might see that your body hits the brakes. You might notice that the second that you start to feel that imposter syndrome of like, oh, who do I think I am? Why do I think I should be able to do this thing? Or gosh, I just really don't know. I'm not the world's expert on this. Or maybe it's that you are feeling like it's going to put you out there too much. And you're like, well, gosh, what do I do if I do become successful in this area? Well, then I have to work hard to maintain it. You may have something internally that tells you, gosh, to keep that success, you're going to have to work your tail off. So your system will cause your body to do different shutdown things in order to keep you from moving toward that goal that it doesn't know very much about. So a lot of times this comes in fatigue or burnout. You might also notice that you're checking your phone like 1,000 times a day and you're like, why am I doing this? It doesn't even make sense because maybe you're really distractible, or maybe you're like something shiny syndrome and you're like, okay, I need to sit down and do this thing. And gosh, I really should fold that laundry pile. So you might find ways to procrastinate, or you might notice that you're doubting yourself a lot with that imposter syndrome. You might notice that you're not moving forward with your big dream because you want it to be perfect. You're going to wait until you know that you got it exactly right. So your body will cause you to be distracted. Your body will be fatigued. You might find that you're really irritable. A lot of my highly successful women CEOs, executives, people that I'm working with, a lot of what they notice at a certain level of success, they've been shooting for this level of success for a long time. And they get there and they realize they're not fulfilled at this level. That's really normal because when you hustled your way to success and moved from an urgency, from a survival mode mentality, which is fine, by the way, guys. I mean, girls, we are designed, we are kind of socialized to hustle and to move from a survival place. And that's honestly what keeps us alive and resilient as kids, is that survival mentality. But when you get to an adult and you get to be successful, you get to have monetary abundance that maybe you haven't had before, you get to a successful job place that you haven't been able to perform at before, or you start your own business and it starts to do really well. This is where a lot of times we see the fear of success start to sabotage things because the nervous system says, whoa, this does not feel safe. And you're like, but I'm so aligned with my goal. I'm so aligned with my why. But your body doesn't feel safe operating from a place where ease or success or abundance are the place to thrive from. So the distraction, the irritability, you might start blowing up your relationships. Your health might start to decline. These are all things that your body is doing to like be like, hey, I don't feel safe. Can you please stop doing the things that I don't understand? So how then are we supposed to actually be successful when not having it, like going toward the unknown is the thing your body is fighting? And if it doesn't feel safe, growth is going to feel like danger. So you have to figure out, how am I overcoming this threat of danger? How am I helping my body come to this new understanding of what growth is and that it's not a threat and that I will keep my body safe no matter what? So there are some specific ways that you can do this. When your nervous system doesn't feel safe enough to hold the version of you that thrives with ease, you have to take specific steps to help it feel more comfortable with that and to expand your window of tolerance for really good things to come your way and for the unknown, because the good things are waiting in this space that you've not conquered yet. So before you try to sort of like kickstart yourself or pull yourself up by your bootstraps, I mean, listen, I am the queen of work harder, be better, do more, like be the hardest worker in the room. This is what gets us to our initial success, right? This is how we stay motivated. This is what makes us feel safest, is being the hardest worker, being the person that outthinks everything. But once you get to that place and you notice like, this is not it. This is hard and I don't want to maintain this level of hustle. You actually have to ask your body at every step moving forward in your growth. If you actually want to cultivate this safety feeling in the growth and change and healing, you have to ask, does my body feel safe with this next step? As soon as you notice a hesitation, you want to start asking yourself, does my body feel safe with the very next step? And if it doesn't, then that's where you start. You kind of have to treat your body, your nervous system, your inner little girl as like this little pet that you're taking with you. You know, if you have like a dog on a leash and you're kind of like, come on, let's go. We're going to go get in the car. And it's like, no, I will not. You know, they dig all four of their paws in. That is exactly how your nervous system and your inner little girl are when they don't think that you know enough to be in charge. Let's just be honest. Our inner selves are going based off of what they've seen, which is not great sometimes. They can't really see the picture that, like, hey, actually, we're here. We survived all this nutso stuff. Like, we survived these really hard shenanigans. And we're here and we're going to take some steps to get to an even easier place to be. But they don't, those parts of us learned it's not safe to have things be easy. If things are being easy, you're not working hard enough. If you're not working hard enough, you're going to just be disapproved by someone. You know, you're going to get someone's disapproval. And then if you get someone's disapproval, then they're going to abandon you. Then you're going to get kicked out of the herd. Then you're going to get eaten by a predator. This is the only space that the survival brain operates in. That whole system is designed to keep you from being eaten by things. It wants you to stay alive. And it believes you are a threat to that when you are saying, hey, I would like for us to go and do these things outside our comfort zone. It's like, yeah, F you. No, thank you very much. So we have to bring those little parts of us along with gentleness and understanding. We can't, there's a certain amount of success you can achieve from just forcing it, but this satisfaction and the contentment and joy that's possible doesn't come from that kind of success. Success that feels joyful and feels full of ease and feels restful and deeply calm. That's the kind of success that we're ready for when we're coming up against these blocks. But the body doesn't recognize those things as safe. So we have to stop and we have to say, okay, do you feel safe? If you don't feel safe, let's do some nervous system regulation. You can literally bypass your body's like, its little alarm system that goes off. You can bypass that by just doing some direct nervous system stimulation exercises. So the other thing that you can do, and by the way, those are things that I will talk about more in other episodes and more in other trainings that I do on YouTube. But for today's purposes, let's just talk about just asking the question, does my body feel safe? If you know that you're resisting the next step forward, does my body feel safe? If not, where in my body do I feel it? And what is behind that? Why doesn't this feel safe for me? The next thing that you can do that's a really simple exercise, and listen, I thought some of this stuff, when somebody told me to like go meditate when I was recovering from trauma and like then you'll become more successful and you'll make more money. I was like, you know what? I said this earlier this week. Like, I'm gonna punch you in the meditation. Like, I don't. You can just take your meditation and shove it because how is that gonna solve all of this pain that I'm in? And now on this side of things, I have done the nervous system regulation that felt really cheesy at first. And so some of these exercises that I talk about, I'm like, yeah, the cynic is not gonna love this, but I was the cynic, so I just love you. And if that's you, just hang in there for a second. If you wanna try some of this, great. If not, wait till you hear me say something that lands, okay? Put it on the shelf for later. So the next little bit that you can do is you can actually envision yourself doing the task that you've been resisting. There have been some really wild studies done in the last 15 years where they have discovered that the human brain can actually do things like without ever lifting a weight can build muscle in your body almost as much as the other groups in the studies where they actually were lifting weights. Like your brain can visualize stuff, make changes in the body. Okay. It doesn't know, your brain can't tell, your nervous system isn't aware of whether or not you've actually bodily experienced something if you have envisioned it. That's why it can be really taxing for those of us who are empaths to take in the news or the media or an intense movie. I cannot watch anything scary. Like, I'm just telling you, I cannot. I have no interest in that. I don't want to be scared. My body can't tell it's not happening. And I just don't seem to have that capacity. I have clients who are like, I love scary movies. And I'm like, bravo, I can't do it. But the human brain, even if you do like scary movies and things, there's still a piece of the brain that does not understand that something has not occurred for you physically if you have visualized it or seen it with your eyes. So envision doing the thing that you're really resisting. Literally just spend a few minutes today envisioning yourself doing the thing and envisioning yourself walking through the door that you unlock for yourself when you actually can do that task that you've been resisting. So it might feel impossible to get to that next level, but that's what I want you to envision. And the more that you can do that, the more you can visualize it, then your body will start to accept that that's a safe place to go. Our goal is to expand our capacity to feel safe while growing, to feel safe in growth. Because growth is all about the unknown. And we have to show our bodies and our systems that even when it looks like, historically speaking, we've not been safe if we didn't have this all a certain way, then we have to be able to say, okay, but I'm going to keep you safe. And let me send you some direct messages through nervous system regulation that are going to convey safety when we feel out of our comfort zone. So I hope you found this helpful. And if you'd like some help going through your underlying blocks that are keeping you from your next level or your fear of success, maybe if you're starting to suspect you have that's keeping you stuck at this certain ceiling, you can, if you identify as a woman, you can book a 15-minute chat with me for free. And what I do in that call is I absolutely will help you hone in on exactly where this comes from in your past. Once we know where it comes from, it's really easy to kind of map out the direction so that you can get to the other side and really master that next level of abundance and ease. Thank you so much for listening and watching today, and I hope you have a wonderful day. And until next time, take such good care of yourself.